Hello, Tzytle. How are you? Welcome
I'm
to our
doing good.
God. Okay, so today I just wanted to offer up an opportunity for us to chat a little bit about your experiences as an opera singer in today's climate, as well as your experience with social media and how that has really helped you to connect with other singers, other potential singers as well. So I think a lot of
Mm.
times, like you had said in our own passing, it is really tricky to navigate this career when we've been taught from a young age about what it's supposed to look like, even though that's not actually what it ends up looking like when we're in practice. So let's start with the basics. What first drew you to opera? What were your first steps into it? How did you kind of get yourself into the career?
So I always did musical theater. I grew up dancing, different things like that. My first role ever was a napkin in Dear Edwina. I think I was like 7. It was very exciting. And then when I was like 14, 15, my mom heard me like sing and was like, let me put you in voice lessons because my mom had experience with classical singing at a very small level. My mom's a singer. My grandma, with every woman on my maternal side, was always a singer in some way, but never like fully opera. But she heard me sing. She's like, okay, I think you know how to sing. Let me put you in voice lessons. And I hated it. I cried going to every lesson. I look back on that time with my mother paying probably 50 to $100 per lesson. I'm from San Diego, California, so probably quite expensive. And mad at myself that I did not take advantage of the fact I was getting free voice lessons. But I cried. I hated it. The voice teacher, who was wonderful, still alive, wonderful. Her name is Kathleen O'Brien. Was the first person who gave me like my first O del mio dolce ardor. I remember she gave me Voi che sapete, and I only knew it because if you're familiar with the BBC version of Pride and Prejudice, Lizzie sings it, and I remember she like she said, "Oh, you know, Le Nozze di Figaro," and I was like a 15-year-old and just, I mean, fake it till you make it. I was like, yeah, of course, I love that show. So that was my first intro into it, but I hated it. I thought it was so dumb and boring. And then she got me into a local group that was doing Gilbert and Sullivan. And we did the gondoliers, and I got paid to do. I was got like $300, which as a 15-year-old, I was like, I'm rich. And I fell in love with it. I was like, wait, this is the thing I like about this. Like, I like the fact that there's this really beautiful singing coming out and this cool, like, team sports-esque thing happening on stage. Plus, I was homeschooled as a kid, and my community truly was theater. And it was, I think that was experience, and that opera experience was the first time I went, oh, these are the people that make sense to me. So I think my draw to opera was, yes, the beauty of the singing and Gilbert and Sullivan fun, dumb show, but also the community aspect of it because I didn't have friends growing up. I mean, I had my sister and my mom and my dad, but that was my thing. It's like, I love this because this is my community. So yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So then going off of that, that was your early introduction. When you started going into the more advanced singing areas, right, aka things like college, do you consider yourself somebody who followed that traditional path, going to conservatory, young artist programs, all that, or have you found yourself exploring what opportunities there were out there? What would you consider your early career design?
I will say of the as we talked about before, the lie that is taught to us in school of the traditional path. I would say I am pretty much the traditional path when we talk about it. I actually graduated from high school early, again, homeschooler, crazy, and my overachieving parents, like they were like, go to a community college. You don't like high school anyway. It feels slow to you. Just go to community college. So I started my music degree when I was 16. Looking back, I put so much pressure on myself because I am crazy high achieving and working on that even today as a 30-year-old. But I started really pursuing this at 16, went to Boston Conservatory, Northwestern, so well-known schools, left college at the age of 20. I had just turned 22. Like I was super young. I graduated with my master's degree super, super young. And then I moved home because I couldn't afford to sing. I couldn't afford anything. And I was really lucky that I'm from San Diego and that company, there's an opera company there that really gave me a lot of opportunities to then get into young artist programs. Then COVID happened and nobody was singing. And then I came out of COVID around, I think I was 26. And that is a kind of an unspoken age that in opera is like when people start getting young artist programs. I don't know why. I really think it's a thing at companies when they go, oh, they're 26, we can trust them now. And I got my first year long young artist program. And while I was there, I started to get more and more and more. But I was lucky. And even when I was in school, I was singing at Opera Neo, Ohio Light Opera, Utah Festival Opera. I was already starting to get opportunities. And that was because, yes, I was a good singer, but I was also had a big background in musical theater, which has kind of been really a push in my path, which I'm realizing now. But if we talk about traditional school young artist program singer, I have done that. Will I say that I am a accomplished singer singing at the Met at the age of 30? No, I am not. But I did the thing they said in school you were supposed to do.
Good. Yeah, I think that's the kicker. And like you said, it does feel like a lie. I feel like it's really hard to see examples of people going down this traditional path and getting the final product that we're told from a young age that we'll get. And I think there's a part of me that's like, well, you can't be entitled to that. But then there's also this part of me is like, why is that the only thing ever taught in school then? Right? Like if we're not sitting there expecting that the amount of money that we're putting into our degree and the amount of time that we're putting into the degree isn't going to amount to even something close to the final product that they tell us, then I wonder what exactly it is that we're doing in school. What exactly are we
Hmm.
doing in these training programs or these young artist programs, these competitions? Um, what exactly am I being trained to be able to do well? And I think in theory, yes, we should be able to get onto something like the Met and thrive. But I also feel like that's a missed opportunity to exist in other areas as well. For example, a musical theater thing, but also being able to do things like oratorio and working collaboratively with symphonies and other things. There's a lot of places for us to exist happily. And I feel like sometimes, at least in my opinion, when I went to school, I was feeling like I didn't have enough time or space to explore those things, even though I actually found
Hmm.
myself, I was more interested in those things than opera myself.
Just as you're saying of this idea of like all the other things. All the other things are very, very important. And I think as an as a now adult, my issue with the way education is run is that it's run like a school. This is not a job where I need a computer science degree. And yet I left these degrees feeling as though I just took all these crazy classes that would have been equated to that. And I cannot, and most people I talk to with music degrees that are doing this cannot name for you, other than potentially some diction type things that I learned in that my almost $100,000 of student loan debt that is actually helping me today.
Yeah.
And that is the issue with this, and why everyone got all hullabaloo with what Renee Fleming said a few weeks ago about education. I do not think there should be this many music degrees, and I do not think that you should pay to go to them. And like, I know that that's hard, but that is this business. There's not a lot of jobs, but there's a ton of people in the musical theater industry that don't get a BFA who do go do this because they're not in $100,000 of student loan debt. And that is the issue with this education system. And I'm not saying that all those degrees should not exist. They just should not cost as much money as they do.
Mhm.
And if I could go back and do it all, I probably wouldn't have gone to Northwestern because that's where the majority of my student loan debt came from. But that's all I was told was you got in a master's program, so you better go.
Mhm.
And I would have just gone to a state school. I could have gone to a state school for free and gotten a free education. And that's what we should have been taught is either you go to Curtis or Juilliard or those things because it's like you got into the big school or you go to school for free.
Mhm.
Go pursue it. Just don't pay money to do it because
Yeah.
you will never, even if you are the big top singers. in this generation. I'm not saying like a Renee Fleming when you could actually make money doing this. You will never make your money back. And on that, then when you get out of school, all of these jobs that you covet that you're supposed to do between the ages of 24 to 30 or 32 or whatever we're calling a young artist anymore, they all pay under $500 a week anyway. So you're telling me to get into massive amounts of debt to covet a position that I can really only do until I'm in my early 30s, potentially, that doesn't pay me a living wage. So that's the issue is that not only are you being treated like shit in school, getting into a ton of debt, not learning what you need to learn, but then also you're telling me to covet literal jobs that don't offer me health insurance, don't pay me a living wage. And even if I get into those top young artist programs that pay, $50,000 for the full year in Chicago, in Washington, D.C., that's barely enough to survive. So it's again, it's what needs to happen in this industry is truly what are we getting ourselves into? And that's the information that is not out there. And why, as we pivot to the social media end of all of this, why I truly started sharing my journey online because I realized I think, okay, the way it started, the first time I ever made I started becoming big on social media when I made these, how much does my audition trip cost? I think I saw somebody post this about living in New York, and I was like, that'd be so cute to do with an audition. Like, I didn't like mean for it to mean anything. And then I did it for one of my New York trips in 2023, I want to say. And I added up the total at the end of my video because I'm just like spending and just being like, oh, whatever, it's fine. And I was living in Wisconsin at that point because I was singing with the opera company. So I was flying from Milwaukee to New York and staying with a friend. I'm like, I probably didn't spend that much. And it added up to like $600 for less than 24 hours in the city, right? Because that's how much these audition trips end up costing mostly. And I went, oh, excuse my language, this is expensive. And then I posted it, and then it became kind of this thing that is how I started to get my following. But then that's, I think, what kind of then made me start going, okay, but why aren't we talking about how much audition trips cost that is coming out of my own pocket? Why aren't we talking about that? I'm literally at a young artist program that I had been told my whole education that you did it. You made it into one of the top 20 young artist programs in the nation. You're making $400 a week and you don't have health insurance, and you're paying up to $700 and not just to go audition for the next gig. And that's when I started going, wait, that's really important and information that should be shared. And I know a lot of people don't like that because then the facade is broken. So let's break the facade.
So then going off of that, the opera world is this very competitive beast and the roles are really limited. How do you prevent listening to negative self-speak and things like burnout? What do you do to manage this?
I don't. I'm very burnt out and listen to the negative self-talk every day. Um, Therapy is great. Do not currently have a therapist, but something I've been working on. 100% advocate for therapy. I think what's really important and what's really helped me is just continuing to surround myself with people who give me perspective. My partner has been really helpful with that. He's a few years older than me. When we met when I just first started getting into these very deep yaps. I think that's what's been really helpful for me. My fun story of when I feel like I said to everyone is I again love Gilbert and Sullivan. It's been my bread and butter for my whole life. If I could just sing all those contralto Gilbert and Sullivan roles for the rest of my life, I would be very happy. They're so fun and so low pressure and they're great. I did Buttercup and HMS Pinafore at Ohio Light Opera in 2023. Most fun show I've done in a long time. Again, working way too many hours, like no pay. But again, it was so worth it because I loved it. I had so much fun. I then walked into my Glimmer Glass audition because they were doing Pirates of Penzance, and I sang it, sang Buttercup's aria. And Buttercup in the aria, she says, she hands out peppermint drops. So I said to myself, this is me at 9 a.m. practicing before my crazy day at my young artist program. I'm sitting in my practicing room laughing because I'm like, wouldn't it be fun if I handed out peppermint drops? And I threw it at people like I did in the show. And so I brought literal peppermint drops. I walked into my audition that I'd flown in the night before at like midnight, showed up to the audition. My audition was at 10:30 in the morning. And I sang my aria and I threw peppermint drops at the panel. I gave it to the pianist and I got the gig. And I sing beautifully at 10 a.m.? Potentially. Did I also sing my second aria well? Sure. It was also 10 a.m., so probably well enough. Did they probably hire me because they went, hey, remember that peppermint drop girl? Yeah, I think so. And I'm not saying that you should walk into your auditions and like throw peppermint drops at people, but like at a certain point, like you have to find why you do this. And I like the gag of it. And that's why that's been a was a big changing point for me is now when I walk into auditions, when I walk into gigs, anything like that, I'm going, yeah, but this is what I do. And if you don't like that, then that's fine. I'll try and change. But at a certain point, like I am the campy, gaggy mezzo, and that's just what I do. So I guess those three things: knowing kind of, I mean, I'm 30. I don't actually know who I am, but some of who I am to not take things so personally and to not give people so much weight.
Mm. And then going off of that, right? I have spent a lot of my time recently thinking about why I do it, right? What exactly do I do? And I found that for me, I have actually never had somebody in the audience come up to me ever in my entire career and say bad things about what I did. And I realized like almost nobody does hate what I do. I'm never bad enough where I completely destroy it and I ruin somebody's night. You know,
Yeah.
people are always coming to see me because they're looking to have a good time, not to find
Yeah.
problems in my performance. You know, and
Yes.
I think academia has really affected how I approach being on stage, where I am waiting for people to find the flaws instead of enjoying the good stuff, which
Yeah.
the audience is there to enjoy the good stuff. They're not
And the
there with,
flaws.
yeah. But they're not there with the score. They're not like,
Mm-mm.
they're trying to have a nice night. And I should also try and have a nice night. Why do
Mhm.
you sing? What exactly is it what is the thing that makes you feel like this is what you should do for the rest of your life?
I really think going back to me as a scared homeschooled kid with no friends, it's my community. Like even if I woke up and this happened to me this summer, I'd never lost my voice and I lost my voice this summer. Could not sing. Literally one of my roles this summer was 7 lines. I couldn't even do the 7 lines. It was scary. I had to then go, cool. So when this stops happening, which it will stop happening at some point because I will get older and cannot go like this anymore, what do I want to do? I will always be a part of this, even if I'm not a singer. In my little career, I've found myself on the other side of the table as a choreographer, director, producer, different things. My thing with this is the community aspect of it. And the issue I have with opera in its current state and why I am starting to stop auditioning for everything and at this point have said no to some things, which is very scary, is because I can't hang with people who don't create community, especially when literally theater is about creating community on stage. So if you're not creating community in the people who are you're with and taking care of them and realizing that they're human beings, then I don't want to be a part of it. And that's my thing with opera is that we're going too far into the, just as you said, the academia part of all of it. So I will keep being a part of this in on my terms now with my friends with the and take care of the people who are important to me. Sure, I will probably be at more gigs where they treat me like shit and say bad things to me, but I then know. And then I can decide if I want to keep playing that game and continuing to go back to that company, or I can just say no. And I've done that now. I've never done that in the past. I've just kept my head up and gone, yes, maestro, whatever you say, maestro. But I also say that with the privilege of the fact that I could say no. And I couldn't have done that a few years ago. And I know that if I wasn't in my current situation, I probably would be at that gig right now.
Mm.
So I think I sing mainly for the community of it. I also just think it's fun and dumb. And that's the part of it I always fight for is like even any role that I'm preparing now, I'm going, oh, but what if I did that dumb gaggy thing? That's always what I'm looking for. And that's where I hope I go in this. And if I find myself not there, I don't think I'll be very happy. So I'll keep fighting for that. And if people don't like that, then I'm okay with that.
Mm.
That's what I tell myself. I'm not always okay with it because I want everyone to love me. But that's what we keep telling ourselves.
Mm.
And I will say to your point of the idea of no audience member coming up to you and saying that your performance was bad, completely agree with you. The issue with academia is people want the flaw. The audience wants the flaws. They want to see a human being. So why are we teaching our people? Why are we trying to teach perfection that doesn't exist? Literally doesn't exist. I don't care if this teacher at Northwestern said, yes, this is the most amazing singer. That's great. That's their opinion. That's the issue, is that all of the ideas of what perfection is an opinion. And I have had audience members come up to me and say they didn't like what I did. And I loved it. I was like, great. I made art. Some people should not like it. That's the point.
And going off of that, right? If we're trying to become perfect, then why don't we just record those perfect performances and replay them back over and over again? Why do people come see live performances? Why do people want to hear other singers sing? Essentially, what we're doing is just fancy covers that are 500 years old. Why is it that there's a million Decca records or Deutsche Grammophon records that are the exact same songs just done by different artists?
Yeah.
That and I think it comes down to like what you said, it's the imperfections, the nuance, the idiosyncrasies of each individual performer, and the fact that it's personal preference. Many opera singers are now supplementing their performing, if not all opera singers, with things like social media, content creation, other kinds of jobs. I've seen all sorts of side gigs. I've even interviewed people on here about their side gigs.
Mhm.
How do you balance your social media with the demands of practice and performance? And does content creation ever feel like a distraction or a necessity or both?
I don't think it's ever felt that way for me. I use social media as a way to connect, and I have made some money off of it. 20 whole dollars. Um, so it's never, I mean, sure, it would be fantastic if I could just make money off of social media and that's my side hustle. That's a great goal. I don't think that'll ever happen. I'm so niche that, like, sure, there are around 10,000 people that go, oh, yeah, at Tzytle. And then I walk normal on the street and people are like, who's that? That's a weird name. I think I use social media as one, a way to connect, and two, it's a creative outlet for me. That, like, if I am so down on my singing or so into like what we're talking about with this, like finding the perfection of singing, I just make a dumb video and it's really helpful for me. And I think that's really important in being a singer is finding that other stuff you do, be your side hustles, be that be other creative outlets, because the more you allow yourself to be creative in other ways, the better your singing is going to be. So I think it's never felt either way for me. It's always been like a fun thing that I do. Even this summer when I was working probably around 80-hour weeks because I was singing at Glimmerglass and also keeping all my side hustles up because that is how you have a career in this. I still was making my little videos every day. I'd wake up and go, okay, let me go in for my walk. Let me make a dumb little video, post it, talk to my people online. It was just the thing that kept me in my real life. I know it's social media, so it's not real life, but my real self rather than, oh my gosh, I have to go into rehearsal, be this thing. And I could just go, yeah, but remember that dumb video I made? That was fun. So that's kind of how I view it.
I like that a lot, actually. That's really nice. When we go in, we kind of touched a little bit on some of the things that have made opera singing in some cases unattainable for people, also extremely challenging for the people who are in it. I think one of the biggest challenges we've created for ourselves is the museumification of art. This idea that it's untouchable and it's perfect, and that we have to do it a specific way and handle it with perfect white gloves to make sure we don't damage it. I think by not making it interactive, by not making it a little bit grubbier, by not making it more risk taking and adventurous, I think we've put ourselves into a corner where
Hmm.
we feel afraid to take those steps forward because what if it breaks tradition? What if it upsets people? What if it doesn't work? And I think without that risk taking spirit, I think we've really put ourselves into a cage that
Yep.
it's our own design, and we could choose to unlock it at any point and let ourselves out. But I do feel that I think that's been our biggest issue. Even going from this, right? What do you want to see change? If you could have it however you want it, if it was a perfect world of your design, what would you want the opera world to be? How would you design it?
I think my thing is I was just in this world premiere that was really it had its own issues. I'm not saying it was perfect, but the music in itself was kind of a mixture of lots of genres. And my thing is, what is opera now? And that is what I want opera to answer. I'm fine that Le Nozze di Figaro gets performed as it is. That's fine. Do it. Do it as a historical, cool performance. Come see this show as it was in 17 when it came out and have people in the costumes, different things. If you want to do Le Nozze di Figaro not like that, why don't we do a new version of it? I'm not just talking about the costumes and putting it in space. I'm talking about cut it. I'm talking about put some of it in English. I'm talking about reorchestrate it. There's this wonderful librettist. Her name is Kelly Rurick. Look up all of her stuff. I have been in like four of her shows. I don't know why I've gotten so lucky to be in so many of her shows, but that's what she does. There's this amazing show she came up with called Songbird. It's based off of La Pericole by Offenbach, and it's a 90-minute version of the show. It's reorchestrated. It's set in New Orleans, and it's a similar plot. It's not the same plot, but it has elements of jazz, it has elements of musical theater, and you can sing it in an operatic style, but it still has microphones. And it's fun, and people like it. It needs to morph, and it needs to be this intergenre. Cool. I have a microphone and I'm an opera singer. Look at all these cool things I can do with my voice because I have studied the art of my voice. I can scream, I can belt, I can do all of these things because I know how to do it in a healthy way because I went to school for this. Like that is what this should be. People like Phantom of the Opera. That's great. They love the spectacle of it. So do Phantom of the Opera and have it be a spectacle and travel it all around. But Phantom closed on Broadway because there wasn't enough people seeing it. So they came up with a different version of Phantom. And it's this cool interactive experience. And that's the one on Broadway right now. And that's my issue with operas. I completely agree with you. It's been, what was the cool word you used? Museum of, I'm going to steal that.
Museumification.
Museumification, gorgeous. That's exactly why no one wants to come because it's boring and it's elitist. And all the fun shows I've been in, I was just in this show. I don't know if you've ever heard of this baseball opera called The Mighty Casey. I'm glad you've heard of it. It's super like 90-minute show. No, I think it was an hour. I got paid like no money to be in it. I didn't care. I was with my friends. I got this pretty costume and I was an evil pitcher. And it was so fun. We did it in a black box theater, and people showed up in their baseball regalia and they changed. I literally was singing a bass baritone role because they were making it so it was for Women's History Month and showing like the League of Their Own. They were making this whole League of Their Own themed, and it was fun and it was exciting. And we basically sang the music, but we changed it. And that's what I want to see. I want to see this intergenre of full. I'm a professional voice user. Let me use my voice in all the different ways I know how as opposed to just this perfect thing that you think is perfect.
I love the sound of
That's
that reinterpretation of Casey. I think one of my favorite things is knowing in history that there was so much flexibility. And I'll use this as an example. Um, Things like cadenzas used to not be written out, but now they are. And I think that
yes.
things like that is just a sign, right, of how we are drawing our own limitations. We are creating our
Yes.
own cages. I think that's a shame. I think we should go back to the things that are like free cadenzas. I think we should go and push ourselves to try new things. I think we should explore how we can break rules and subvert people's expectations and make sure that everybody has an opportunity to feel that whimsy, that surprise, that excitement. And I think that a lot of things could be a vehicle for entertainment once again. Historically, it was. I love
Yeah,
the extreme. I love seeing how far human beings can go when you give them the opportunity to just create. Just
yeah.
go do it. Like I love
And
that.
I think it's that and allowing people to enjoy it. And that's what I don't think these big companies allow. Like when somebody sings a cool cadenza, I want to get up and stand and scream and go, that was awesome, even while they're still holding the last high note, like what they do in Broadway. Because that's what's exciting, is getting to be a part of that. That's why people want to go see shows because they're a part of it. And if you create the elitism or whatever the word is I made up, and you make that fourth wall truly a fourth wall, nobody, you are going to lose. There's not going to be that new audience that you're going to need that will die with your main audience dying out in the next 20 years.
And then for our last like real question, what are things that you wish that you could have known earlier in your career? What things you think would have helped you avoid pitfalls, make you more informed decisions? What do you think people who are young need to hear about this career?
Oof. It costs a lot of money. Don't get in debt. It's not worth it. You need the things in order to have a career. Like you need the names, you need these. I mean, I know there are ways to do this without young artist programs. Unfortunately, I don't think we are in that. I'm talking about the traditional path of opera. Let me just preface that. You can still have a wonderful musical life and not do young artist programs and those things. But if you want to have a career to do this, you have to have those companies, those things on your resume. I am an example of somebody, yes, who did that, but I really didn't start having success with those companies until my late 20s. And that was just for me, just continuing to try, continuing to figure out who I was, different things like that. So I am an example of somebody who it did take a little bit more time, but the thing to accept is you can continue to try as long as you want, but at a certain point, you do have to accept you didn't get lucky. And I very much feel that way of like I have gotten lucky at certain points, but I didn't win the Met competition. I didn't go to Operalia. I didn't do these things. So I know that my career will never be this because I didn't have these. Because gone are the years that somebody will hear you sing on a stage and just have you go sing at the Met. We as opera singers are very highly achieving people. And if you want to keep doing it and you love it, keep doing it. If it's making you unhappy and it feels like an abusive relationship, you don't have to keep doing this. You will still be a happy person and find places to perform and do all the other things that you're good at and still be happy. Because I promise you that even if you went to Europe and had the career, sang at the Met, you're going to look back and be 40 and then go, oh, I don't have all those other things that I love. And now I need to figure out what job I do. Because at a certain point, you won't do this. So you got to figure out the other thing that you do anyway.
That's a
And
good piece
that's,
of advice. Yeah, that's
yes,
actually
that is,
that's so good. Having other interests and being more than just a singer is something I talk about a lot.
yeah,
Is we are so multifaceted, and to not polish those other facets, I think is doing everyone a disservice, especially yourself, right? You
yeah.
are a diamond, and if you only polish one face of that diamond, it's not going to be as shiny as it could be. And I think if you work hard to be more than just the one thing you think you are, I think you'll be a well-rounded and hopefully happier individual. We are more than
You will, and you also will have to do them anyway,
yeah.
because
Eventually
that
you'll
is
get
the
sick.
industry.
Yeah, and also you'll get sick, you'll get injured, you'll have to do breaks, you'll get burned out. There's a million reasons why people stop singing, not just because you choose to. Are you ready to navigate that possibility? Very real possibility,
Hmm.
It's extremely scary, it's really scary. I know how hard it is to be faced with the possibility of losing your voice, and it is one of those things that until you look at yourself honestly in the mirror and start thinking about it, um, it can be really uncomfortable and you almost want to avoid thinking about those kinds of realities.
And
Yeah.
it can become, there's many times in this career where it won't be on your terms fully. I think that there are building times where you do have to say, yes, maestro, that is fully a thing. But as you then keep getting older and start getting the time to actually polish those things, it's just going to make you feel better because you'll go to an audition and go, okay, cool. Then I don't have to be gone for 3 months. Cool. I don't have to move to some random city in the middle of Tennessee. Like, cool. That's fine. I'm good. Like, it's very helpful perspective wise.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for spending some time with me. Do you want to plug anything for yourself, for the few people who watch my videos? Would you like to,
Yes,
what would you like to
come
tell me about?
come check out my social media. Help me make more than $20. Follow, like, subscribe. Yeah, I'm singing some places. I also have my side gigs. Like, just come say hi. Come
Sounds
be a
good.
part of the community. That's about it.
Well, thank you so much for chatting with me. It means so much to spend some time and hear about your opinions. They're really valuable. Thank you.
Yes, and thanks for chatting with me and sharing all your opinions.
Fabulous.